A new ad by George Conway's Anti-Psychopath PAC features Natasha Stoynoff, the People magazine reporter who accused Donald Trump of sexually assaulting her when she visited his Mar-a-Lago resort in 2005 to interview him and his new wife, Melania.
My name is Natasha Stoynoff. In 2005, I went to interview Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. At one point, Melania went upstairs to change her clothes for the next photo shoot. And Trump said to me, I want to show you this beautiful painting, this beautiful room. He leads me to this room, pushes me against the wall, and starts kissing me forcefully. I tried to push him. He kept coming back at me. I was in shock and smothered, and he had his hands here against my shoulders. I felt sick inside. I felt horrified. And thank goodness the butler charges into the room.
In response to a request for comment, the Trump campaign accused George Conway of Trump derangement syndrome and called the ad another sad, desperate attempt by Kamala's cronies to gaslight the American people. E. Jean Carroll and more than 24 women would beg to differ. Trump has repeatedly denied all accusations of sexual assault and has not faced criminal charges over any of the allegations other than E. Jean Carroll's civil case. Joining me now is Natasha Stoynoff and George Conway, president and executive director of the Anti-Psychopath PAC and co-host of the George Conway Explains It All podcast. Thank you both for being here. I do want to go to you first, Natasha, because you are a journalist. Because you're a journalist, you're part of what you do professionally is observe. And so as you observed Donald Trump then and you observed him now, would you describe him as a predator? Would you describe him as somebody who you feared might actually sexually assault you, as he did E. Jean Carroll? Tell me in that moment what you feared the end game was had that butler not intervened.
I never thought of him as a predator at that time. And that's why I was fine to be in a room alone with him. But it occurred to me after the incident that that was the first time I was ever in the room alone with him. I'd interviewed him several times, but had always been surrounded by publicists, managers, and there was no reason for me to really think anything untoward would happen being in the room alone with him.
But once it did, and then when you later heard, you go back many years later, and you heard him in that Access Hollywood video, which was recorded, I think, the same year that What Happened to You happened, where he said, when I see a beautiful woman, I just kiss. I don't even wait. And then he said, you can do anything when you're famous. You can grab them by the, which is what he did to E. Jean Carroll. When you heard that tape, thinking about what happened to you, what did you think?
It's weird. I felt a combination of relief, which may sound odd, but that's because I had been blaming myself for what had happened. So when I saw that, I thought, oh, he just does this with everybody. And I felt horrified because, number one, of what he was saying he did, and number two, I worried that had I spoken up earlier, perhaps I could have prevented some assaults.
Let me go to you, George. You created something called the Anti-Psychopath PAC. I am fascinated by, well, I mean, it's obvious why you named it that, but why did you feel to go that strong with it, to go that strong with the name, and also to do these ads? And who are they targeting?
He is a psychopath, and he's a narcissistic sociopath or psychopath, a malignant narcissist. He really is. He represents sort of the worst of the human spirit, or dispirit, if you will. He is mentally ill. He suffers from narcissistic personality disorder and suffers from antisocial personality disorder. He checks all the boxes. And among those boxes are really some very, very negative characteristics that you can find in a small number of human beings, which is a complete lack of empathy, a complete inability to cohere, to follow rules and laws, and to respect the big boundaries and dignity of other human beings, a complete lack of remorse, pathological lying, and an impulsiveness. And there's so many of these characteristics that illustrate themselves in his behavior toward women. It explains his misogyny, it explains a lot of other things, his criminality, but it explains what he did with E. Jean Carroll and what he said to Billy Bush that time. He's like, this is how he actually thinks. He believes this. And he, the notion that he did this with his wife, to Natasha, with his wife in the same building, the notion that he did what he did to E. Jean Carroll, as a jury found, in a department store in Midtown Manhattan. He's a very, very sick and dangerous man. And that's part of the reason why we're doing this, is to really bring that home to people by showing them the victims.
And let me add another victim, Jessica Leeds, because you also did an ad with her. Let's play that.
1979, I had gotten on an airplane. The stewardess said to me, "Would you like to come up to first class?" In the window seat was a gentleman, said that his name was Donald Trump. The airplane took off, and all of a sudden, Donald Trump started groping me. He was trying to kiss me, and I'm trying to push him away. He was basically overpowering me. 2 years later, at this fundraiser, up comes Trump and his wife, and he looked at me, and he said, "I remember you. You're that from the airplane."
Natasha, there are 25 total women who have accused Donald Trump of some form of sexual misconduct. Their stories range from your story to Ms. Leeds' story to E. Jean Carroll's story. You could go on and on and on. And yet Donald Trump has the nerve to stand on a stage in front of a rally audience and say the following. Take a look at what Donald Trump said recently about women.
I am your protector. I want to be your protector. As president, I have to be your protector. I hope you don't make too much of it. You will no longer be abandoned, lonely, or scared. You will no longer be thinking about abortion.
Natasha, what do you think when you hear Donald Trump say he will be women's protector?
Well, I think you know my answer to that. When I heard that clip, I felt sick to my stomach. I immediately sent it to the other women I know who have been groped by him, and they felt the same way. And, you know, he's delusional, or he knows he's lying. I'm not sure which it is, but he's trying desperately to impress women and get their vote. But any woman who has proper perspective and is smart and looking at the situation can see that he is a predator and not a protector.
Well said, and succinctly said, and I think quite accurate. Natasha Stoyanov, George Conway, thank you both.